What if I told you there was a man so strong, he made the world's strongest man boring to watch? In the early 80s, he benched 661 pounds raw. He tore through the competition so brutally, they stopped inviting him back. Not because he was injured, and not because he lost, but because he was too dominant. Before Eddie, before Halfthor, before Shaw, there was Bill Kazmaier. And his story isn't just about insane strength, it's about politics, pain, and the price of greatness. This is how strongman crowned its first king and cast him out. Before Kazmaier ever stepped into a strongman arena, he did this. Bench 600 plus pounds raw, with a stare that could melt steel. But to understand how that monster was built, we need to go back. Burlington, Wisconsin, December 30th, 1953. In the heart of America's dairy country, where winter winds cut across frozen farmland and summer heat hangs heavy over endless cornfields, William Theodore Kazmaier enters the world. Not yet the Cause, that nickname would come later, earned through feats that would redefine human strength. The boy who would become strongman's first superstar grows up in small-town Wisconsin, where size matters and work ethic defines character. From an early age, it's clear that Bill possesses something extraordinary, not just physical gifts, but an intensity that sets him apart from other children. His family operates with the practical wisdom of Midwestern values, hard work, humility, and the understanding that exceptional ability comes with exceptional responsibility. The Kazmaier household doesn't breed arrogance, but it doesn't discourage ambition either. Bill's parents recognize they're raising someone special and provide the foundation he'll need for what lies ahead. High school football provides the first showcase for his developing strength. Not the biggest player on the field, but already displaying the power that would later make him legendary. Coaches and teammates notice that Bill doesn't just hit hard, he moves with an intensity that suggests deeper reserves of strength waiting to be unlocked. But football, satisfying as it is, represents only a fraction of his potential. The field lit a fire. The weight room turned it into an inferno. What begins as athletic preparation evolves into something approaching obsession. Not unhealthy obsession, but the focused dedication that separates champions from competitors. His introduction to serious powerlifting comes through necessity as much as curiosity. College football at the University of Wisconsin provides structure and competition, but the weight room provides something more profound. The opportunity to test his strength against absolute standards rather than relative competition. For most lifters, a 500-pound bench is a career milestone. For Kaz, it was just warm-up. By his early 20s, Kazmaier wasn't chasing records. He was erasing them. And the powerlifting world took notice fast. The combination of natural ability and growing technical understanding creates rapid progress that catches the attention of serious powerlifters. The powerlifting community in 1970s, Wisconsin is small but serious. Underground gyms filled with dedicated lifters who understand that strength has its own culture, its own hierarchy, based purely on what you can move when everything is on the line. Bill finds his tribe among these iron warriors, men who appreciate strength for its own sake rather than its application to other sports. His first meet was a shockwave. Veterans watched this kid from Wisconsin move weights they'd spent decades chasing, and do it raw. He wasn't polished, but he was terrifying. The powerlifting world takes notice immediately. Word spreads through the tight network of elite lifters. There's a young man in Wisconsin who might rewrite the record books. Not just hype, but genuine recognition from people who understand what they're witnessing. His progress through powerlifting's ranks is steady, but not effortless. Each competition teaches lessons about managing pressure, refining technique, and understanding the mental game that separates successful lifters from those who merely possess strength. The foundation being laid extends far beyond individual lifts to encompass the complete competitive mindset. By the mid-1970s, Bill has established himself as one of America's premier powerlifters. Multiple records, consistent victories at major competitions, and totals that place him among the strongest humans in recorded history. But powerlifting, satisfying as it is, represents only part of his ultimate destiny. The bench press becomes his signature lift, not just exceptional for his weight class, but approaching numbers that seem to defy physics. The combination of leverages, technique, and raw power creates performances that leave spectators questioning what they've just witnessed. His world record bench press performances transform him from accomplished powerlifter to strength sports celebrity. Numbers that shatter previous records by margins that suggest a fundamental shift in human potential. The 661-pound bench press in 1981 doesn't just break the world record, it obliterates it by more than 30 pounds. The powerlifting community understands they're witnessing something unprecedented. Not just a strong man getting stronger, but an athlete operating at a level that redefines possibility. His bench press performances become must-see events, drawing crowds who come specifically to witness history being made. By 1981, Kazmaier wasn't just breaking records, he was setting new rules for what humans could lift. But powerlifting wasn't enough. He wanted something bigger, the spotlight, the cameras, the strongest man in the world. What came next would change the sport forever. The early 1980s represent strongman's transition from novelty competition to legitimate sport. Television coverage brings new audiences, standardized events create consistency, and increasing prize money attracts better athletes. Into this evolving landscape steps Bill Kazmaier, armed with powerlifting credentials that suggest he might dominate strongman as completely as he conquered the bench press. His introduction to strongman competition reveals both his potential and the adjustments required. Powerlifting's static nature, while showcasing pure strength, doesn't automatically translate to strongman's dynamic events. Loading, carrying, and moving objects under time pressure demand different skills than platform lifting. His early strongman appearances demonstrate the learning curve ahead. Deadlifting heavy objects poses no challenge. His powerlifting background provides enormous advantages. But events requiring technique, endurance, or specialized skills expose areas needing development. The strongman community recognizes his potential immediately. Here's an athlete with world record credentials and competitive fire that suggests he might rewrite strongman's hierarchy. The question isn't whether he can compete at the highest level, but how quickly he can master strongman's unique demands. His training evolves to accommodate the sport's diverse requirements. Powerlifting's focus on 3 specific movements expands to include the full range of strongman events. The garage gym approach gives way to more sophisticated preparation that addresses every aspect of strongman competition. The 1979 World's Strongest Man provides his first taste of international strongman competition. Not yet the dominant force he would become, but clearly an athlete with championship potential. His powerlifting strength translates effectively to many events, while his competitive intelligence adapts quickly to strongman's tactical demands. His progress through the competition demonstrates both his strengths and areas for improvement. Static strength events showcase his powerlifting background, while dynamic events reveal the work still needed to become a complete strongman. But the foundation is solid and the trajectory points toward future dominance. The strongman community takes notice. Competitors who have dominated the sport for years understand they're witnessing the emergence of a new threat. This wasn't just another big guy with a barbell. Kaz was a hybrid, freak strength, laser focus, and an edge most men only find under pressure. 1980 wasn't just a breakthrough, it was a warning shot. Kazmaier had arrived, and strongman would never be the same. Not just victory, but a dominant victory that announces his arrival as strongman's new standard bearer. His powerlifting strength combines with improved strongman technique to create performances that separate him from the field. His victory isn't close or controversial, it's decisive. The combination of world record bench pressing power and developing strongman skills creates competitive advantages that few opponents can match. The gentle giant from Wisconsin has become strongman's newest champion. The aftermath of his first WSM victory reveals the personality that will define his career. Confident without being arrogant, dominant without being disrespectful, and articulate in ways that make him attractive to television producers and sponsors. Strongman has found not just a new champion, but its first true media star. The 1981 World's Strongest Man provides his opportunity to prove that 1980 wasn't a fluke. Back-to-back victories would establish him as more than a one-time champion. They would position him as the sport's new dynasty. His preparation for the defense of his title reflects the meticulous approach that separates champions from competitors. Every likely event receives specific attention. Every weakness from the previous year becomes a focus for improvement. The goal isn't just to win, but to win decisively enough to discourage future challengers. His performance exceeds even optimistic expectations. Not just victory, but dominant victory that makes his supremacy undeniable. The combination of improved technique and unwavering strength creates a competitive package that seems almost unfair to his opponents. The back-to-back victories establish patterns that will define his career. Meticulous preparation, dominant performance, and gracious victory that makes him popular with fans and media alike. Strongman has found its first true superstar, but behind the scenes, cracks were beginning to form. And they wouldn't just threaten his reign, they would end it. The 1982 World's Strongest Man represents his chance for a three-peat that would establish him among the sport's immortals. 3 consecutive victories would place him in rarefied air, achieving something that few athletes in any sport accomplish. The pressure of pursuing 3 consecutive titles adds complexity to his preparation. No longer the challenger seeking to establish himself, but the established champion with a target on his back. Every opponent knows his weaknesses. Every training session receives scrutiny. Every competition becomes a referendum on his continued dominance. His approach to the challenge reveals the champion's mentality that defines his career. Instead of playing it safe or making excuses, he raises his level of preparation and performance. The goal isn't just to win, but to win so decisively that his supremacy becomes unquestionable. He wasn't just stronger, he was scarier. Opponents weren't competing, they were surviving. His 3rd consecutive victory doesn't just establish him as Strongman's greatest champion, it creates the legend that will define his legacy. 3 years of complete dominance that transforms him from competitor to icon, from athlete to the standard against which all future champions will be measured. 3 titles, unchallenged dominance, a legend in the making. But in 1983, he wasn't invited back, and nobody gave a straight answer why. The aftermath of Bill Kazmaier's 3rd consecutive World's Strongest Man victory should have led to discussions about his place among the sport's immortals. Instead, it led to one of Strongman's most enduring mysteries: his sudden absence from competition just as his dominance seemed unshakable. 1983 arrived with one glaring omission: no injury, no press conference, no Kazmaier, just silence. And a new champion, crowned in the shadow of a man who never lost. Strongman didn't just lose a competitor. It lost its anchor, its most terrifying force. And the silence that followed felt less like a scheduling issue, and more like exile. The official explanations for his absence vary depending on the source and timing. Scheduling conflicts, promotional disagreements, and other vague justifications that fail to satisfy anyone familiar with strongman politics. The truth, as it often does in professional sports, lies somewhere between official statements and persistent rumors. With no official reason, the rumor mill ignites. Did he price himself out? Was it ego? Or worse? Did the organizers quietly push him out, afraid he was killing the drama that sold tickets and kept TV networks happy? The most persistent theory suggests that Bill was effectively banned from competition without official acknowledgement. The logic seems sound. His 3 consecutive victories had made the world's strongest man predictable, and predictable television makes for poor ratings and reduced sponsorship interest. His perspective on the absence, shared in later interviews, provides glimpses into the political complexities that surround professional strongman competition. The intersection of sport, entertainment, and business creates conflicts that pure athletic competition cannot resolve. Years later, Kazmaier would speak carefully, but not passively. "They never said I couldn't compete," he once hinted, "but they sure made it hard for me to show up." It wasn't a ban, but it felt like one. The years of his absence, 1983 through 1987, represent strongman's most significant what-if period. 5 years during which the sport's most dominant athlete remained on the sidelines, while others competed for titles he might have won easily. 5 years of speculation about whether anyone could have challenged his continued supremacy. His training during this period suggests he maintained championship-level strength, despite his absence from competition. The bench press records continue falling. Powerlifting totals remain extraordinary. and training footage reveals an athlete who could return to competition at any time. The sport evolves during his absence in ways that both help and hurt his legacy. New champions emerge and establish their own reputations, proving that strongman can thrive without its most dominant athlete. But the continued speculation about his potential return keeps his name prominent in strongman discussions. The 1988 World's Strongest Man represents his long-awaited return to competition. After 5 years away, the question isn't whether he can still compete at the highest level, but whether he can reclaim the unshakable grip on the sport that defined his early career. His preparation for the comeback receives unprecedented attention from strongman media and fans. Training footage, interview segments, and promotional materials all focus on the return of the sport's most legendary champion. The narrative writes itself. Can the king reclaim his throne after 5 years in exile? He returned to applause, not fear. The man who once dwarfed his rivals now found himself in a deeper, faster sport. The comeback wasn't a coronation. It was a reckoning. His performance, while not resulting in victory, validates his decision to return. Still competitive at the highest level, still capable of impressive feats of strength, but no longer the overwhelming favorite he once was. The comeback proves his continued relevance without fully restoring his dominance. His throne had vanished, but his legend only grew. Kazmaier wouldn't rule strongman again, but he became its ghost, a looming what-if that haunted every champion who followed. He conquered the platform, then he conquered the microphone. Bill Kazmaier didn't fade into retirement, he rewired himself. While others struggled to move on from the spotlight, Kaz found a new arena, not with barbells, but with a broadcast mic, and the same intensity that once shattered powerlifting records. From his first commentary gig, it was clear he wasn't here to fill airtime. He was here to educate, to challenge, and to elevate the sport he helped build. No fluff, no cliches, just raw insight, delivered by someone who had bled for every rep. ESPN took notice. Strongman was getting airtime, but it needed authenticity. Someone who could break down the physics of a keg toss and tell you what it feels like when your lungs give out halfway through the fingers. The sport didn't need a commentator, it needed Kazmaier. He didn't sugarcoat things. If a competitor messed up their grip or rushed a carry, Kaz called it out, not to mock, but to teach. When he spoke, fans listened, athletes listened, even the judges listened. His presence in the booth connected two eras, the wild, unregulated chaos of early strongman and the modern age of athleticism and science. He wasn't just a commentator, he was the sport's living memory. Competitors respected him because he'd been there. He knew the pressure, the pain, the politics, and unlike many legends, Kaz didn't talk down. He talked straight. And when things got messy, when judging felt off or events seemed unfair, Kaz didn't hold back. He had lived through controversy. So, when he raised an eyebrow on air, the community felt it. What started as a side role became his second legacy. Decades of commentary turned his voice into strongman's soundtrack, its conscience, its compass, and sometimes its harshest critic. He stopped lifting the stones, but he never let go of the weight. Bill Kazmaier wasn't just the strongest man of his era. He was the blueprint. Long before sponsorship deals and Instagram fame, Kaz showed the world what it meant to be a professional strongman, both on and off the platform. 3 back-to-back World's Strongest Man titles, a 661-pound bench press in 1981 that still raises eyebrows today, and a presence so overwhelming the sport seemed to bend around him. Ask the champions who came after, Eddie Hall, Hafthor Bjornsson, Brian Shaw. They'll tell you the same thing. Kaz paved the way. He made strongman matter, not just to fans, but to the world. His story isn't just about titles, it's about the years taken, and the questions that never got answers. The missing years, 1983 to 1987, remain one of strongman's great unsolved puzzles. No injury, no retirement, just silence. And the lingering question, was he banned for being too dominant? That mystery doesn't weaken his legacy, it cements it. Because while others chased trophies, Kazmaier became a myth. Old training footage still circulates online. Grainy bench presses, brutal yoke walks, war cries mid-lift. Each clip pulls in new fans who weren't even born when Kaz ruled the stage. but they get it. They see the hunger, the rage, the fire. He didn't just build strength, he built a standard. And when his time as a competitor ended, he didn't fade. He adapted, reinvented, became the voice that would guide strongman into the future, teaching, mentoring, calling out injustice when needed. His legacy isn't a number on a record board, it's an idea of what a strongman should be. Fierce but fair, dominant but humble, respected, not just for the lifts, but for how he carried himself. More than 40 years later, the echoes of his era still shape the sport, and every time a new champion takes the stage, there's still a little bit of Kaz in the arena. Today, Bill Kazmaier's name appears in every serious discussion about strongman's greatest athletes. His 3 consecutive World's Strongest Man titles provide the statistical foundation for his legendary status, but his influence extends far beyond championship counts to encompass his role in transforming strongman from niche competition to legitimate sport. His story provides multiple lessons for strength athletes and sports fans alike. Excellence without media savvy creates impressive but ultimately limited impact. Conversely, media skills without competitive credibility produce hollow celebrity that fails to inspire genuine respect. Bill combined both elements perfectly. The competitive fire that drove his championship runs manifested differently in his broadcasting career, but with equal effectiveness. The same intensity that made him an unstoppable competitor makes him an authoritative commentator whose analysis carries weight that purely technical observers cannot match. His approach to both competition and commentary reflects values that transcend athletic achievement: respect for opponents, preparation that borders on obsession, and the understanding that exceptional ability comes with responsibility to the sport and its fans. Ththese qualities define champions across all sports. The mystery surrounding his absence from competition during the mid-1980s adds intrigue to his legacy that keeps his story compelling decades after the fact. The speculation about whether he was too dominant for strongman's own good creates narrative complexity that few athletes' careers possess. His powerlifting achievements, particularly his bench press world records, provide objective evidence of his claims to unprecedented strength. The totals he achieved during an era with less sophisticated training methods and nutritional understanding suggest what might have been possible with modern advantages. His second act behind the mic proved what fans already knew. Kaz wasn't just strong, he was articulate, media savvy, and the sport's first true ambassador. Modern strongman's biggest stars, from Eddie Hall to Brian Shaw to Hafthor Bjornsson, follow templates that Bill Kazmaier established. The combination of competitive excellence and media engagement that defines contemporary strongman. Stardom traces directly to his pioneering approach. His influence on strongman culture extends beyond his competitive achievements to the values he represented. The professional who dominated through preparation rather than intimidation, who accepted both victory and defeat with equal grace, and who approached both competition and commentary with respect for the sport and its traditions. The first superstar, the 3-time champion, the voice of strongman television, the man who was possibly too good for his own sport's good, the athlete whose absence became as legendary as his presence. From the small towns of Wisconsin to the powerlifting platforms where he established world records, from the strongman stages where he created a dynasty to the commentary booth where he interpreted the sport for new generations. The journey of Bill Kazmaier represents the evolution of strongman from underground competition to mainstream entertainment. In strongman circles, debates about the sport's greatest champions always include his name near the top of every serious discussion, not just because of what he achieved, but because of how he achieved it and what his success meant for strongman's development. The template, the dynasty, the mystery, the voice. The first among equals in strongman's pantheon of champions, Bill Kazmaier.